Hello, welcome to the channel. My name is JonHut and today I want to show you different sidechain techniques. From a basic sidechain ducking effect to a more advanced sidechain techniques for mixing, sound design, etc. Now for this tutorial I'm going to be using a third-party premium plugins. But it doesn't mean that you need these premium plugins in order to achieve the same results. So if you want to see how I do one of these techniques with the stock plugins, then stay till the end of the video. With that said, let's go right into the computer and have a look to these techniques. Okay, so let's have a look to all of these techniques. But before we start, let me quickly show you how to set up external sidechain for third-party plugins here on FL Studio. So as you can see, I created these two channels for this example. One is a kick drum and the other is a bass. In order to set up the external sidechain, I'm going to click on the kick channel, which is going to be the triggering source, and I'm going to sidechain into the bass channel. To do that, I'm just going to go to the bottom of the channel, and here on this little arrow, I'm going to right-click on it and sidechain to this track. Now I'm gonna go to the bass channel and I'm gonna open a plugin with the external sidechain option. My go-to plugin for this type of sidechain is Shaperbox 3 by Cable Guys. Okay, now here on Shaperbox, I'm gonna go to detailed settings, then I'm gonna press on BST wrapper settings and I'm gonna go to processing. Here I can see the option of sidechain. So first thing, I'm gonna enable it and now I'm gonna right click on it and select the kick. This setup is exactly the same for all of the plugins. Now I'm gonna go back to the plugin and in here I'm gonna select a volume shaper. The option for audio external sidechain is here on the bottom. Now these options, it might be different depending of the plugin that you use. So I recommend that you read the manual of the plugins that you wanna use. Now I'm gonna click on audio and I'm gonna select external sidechain. Now that I have everything set up, I'm gonna choose a preset for a sidechain and I'm also gonna change the length from 1 bar to 1/4. Now let's have a listen and check that everything is working correctly. Okay, so let's have a look to the first technique, which is going to be a basic sidechain, kick and bass, and also kick and some music elements. So if I come to the bass channel, here I have a Shaperbox 3. Now, the first thing that I like to do is to split the sidechain into two different frequencies range, a low and a mid. The reason for that is because I like this type of sidechain effect as transparent as possible, but it might be different depending on the track, the type of music that you make, and also your personal taste. So here on the mid-range, I have a gentle envelope set on 75%. And on the low frequency, I have a bit more aggressive envelope set on 100%. So let's have a listen to the kick and bass with this sidechain. Okay, and now when I have the sidechain for the bass set up, I normally copy this setting into the channels that I want to apply this effect. The reason for that is because I want to preserve these envelopes in order to follow the same rhythm and groove. So here on the chorus group, I have another Shaperbox. Again, splitting the sidechain effect in two different frequencies range, one for the mid and another for the high. But as you can see, the envelope is exactly the same. Now here on the high frequency range, I've set up the mix on 50%. And on the mid-range is on 100%. So let's have a listen to the kick, bass and chorus group with the sidechain. Okay, and last for these techniques, here on the plugs group is where normally I have the main theme of the track. So if I go to the Shaperbox 3, you can see that on the high frequency range, I have a different envelope. Again, just in order to make this effect as transparent as possible. So the high frequency range is set on 50% and the mid frequency range is set on 100%. And also the envelope for the mid range is exactly the same as on the bass and on the chords group. So let's have a listen to the kick, bass, chords and plugs group with the sidechain. Okay, the next technique is going to be how to use external sidechain as a creative effect for a sound design. So let me first show you the two channels that I'm using for this technique. The first one is the key number 3, so let's have a listen to it. And the second channel is the plug number 4, so let's have a listen to it. Basically, what I want is the plug number 4 to follow the rhythm of the key number 3. And the way how I do that is with Shaper Box 3. So let me open, and in here I'm using the filter tool. The setup is exactly the same as before, so let's have a listen of what this Shaper Box is doing. Okay, and the next technique is going to be how to use Sidechain to create space on your mix. So for this technique, I have two examples. Let's have a look to the first one, which I'm using this technique on the kick and clap and snare. So if I go to the kick group, and here I add a Fab Filter Pro MB. And as you can see, I add a band on 200 Hz. So every time that the clap and snare hit together with the kick drum, it reduces this band on the kick drum. So basically what it does, it adds more clarity to the snare when it hits together with the kick drum. So let's have a listen before and after this effect. On the next example, I'm using the same technique, but in this case with the chords and plugs group. So here on the plug group, I add another Fab Filter Pro MB, and I create a band on 250 Hz. And the reason for that is because my main plug have quite a lot of information on this area. So when it plays together with the chords group, I want this area to be reduced. So let's have a listen to the chords and plug group with and without this effect. Okay, now let's have a listen to the whole mix with and without this technique. It's a subtle effect, but definitely add clarity into the mix by giving space to the body of the clap and snare and also reducing the muddy area due to the main plug. And the last technique that I want to show you is using the internal sidechain of the plugin. So most of the premium plugins out there have the internal sidechain option. As an example, if I open a flanger by Arturia, here on the plugin, if I click on advanced setting, I can see a high pass filter. So basically what it does is if I set up the high pass filter on 500 Hz, basically below 500 Hz is not going to apply this effect. There is also plugins like Fab Filter Pro C2 with a really advanced options for a sidechain, like a stereo link if you want to work only on the mid or on the side, specific low and high pass filter, and also a bell and many other options. But for now, I'm gonna show you how I'm using this internal sidechain on this project. So here on my Music Bus channel, I add a Shadow Hill mastering compressor. But on my Music Bus, I also send the bass. So basically, I don't want the low frequencies of the bass to be affected by the compressor. That's why I set the sidechain filter on 180 Hz. Basically, what it's doing is keeping all of these frequencies below 180 Hz intact from the compressor. So let's have a listen to the Music Bus with and without the sidechain filter. And last, as bonus tip, I want to show you two extra things. So the first one is how you can use a volume shaper like Shaper Box to add movement and really interesting rhythms. So if I go to the hi-hat close one, here I have two different Shaper Box. The first one, the length is set on 1/4 triplets, and the second one, the length is set on a half. Both of them with the mix on 50%. So let's have a listen to the hi-hat with and without this Shaper Box. And for the last tip, I just want to let you know that you don't really need these premium plugins in order to achieve these results. Now, obviously, these premium plugins can have more features and also speed up the way how you set up all of these techniques. But again, you can still do it all of this technique with the stock and also free plugins. So let me quickly show you with the kick and clap and snare example. So remember, on the kick, I add a FabFilter Pro MB to reduce a frequency around 200 Hz when the clap and snare hit together with the kick drum. So let me show you how to do it with the stock plugin. Here on the kick group, I'm gonna add a Freety parametric EQ too. And now on the clap and snare group, I'm gonna add a Freety peak controller. Okay, now I'm gonna go into the band 2 and I'm gonna set on 200 Hz. And now I'm gonna right click into the gain of the band 2 and then link to controller. Here on internal controller, I'm gonna open this menu and I'm gonna choose peak controller, peak from the clap and snare group. Press accept, and now here on the Freety peak controller, I can set up the bass position. I'm gonna leave it on 50%, which means no boost and no attenuation. And now with the volume control, I can select how much reduction I want on this band when the clap and snare hit together with the kick drum. So let's have a listen to it. You can also use the decay and tension controls, which have a similar function as an attack and release knobs. And now, before I close the DAW, I just want to let you listen to this track and see if you can hear all of these techniques. Okay, that's all for me. Hope you like and learned something from this video. If you have any question, please leave a comment below. Thank you very much for watching. My name is JonHut.